May 5th, 2022. This day is known as Cinco de Mayo, which is Spanish for May the 5th, and it's a Mexican holiday that celebrates Mexico's victory against France in the Battle of Puebla. It's basically Mexico's Independence Day. But that's not all that Revenge of the 5th marks, because May 5th also marks my 10-year anniversary of playing the epic block game called Minecraft. That's right, 10 years ago that day I first started playing the Swedish indie sandbox game created by Marcus Persson aka Notch. Because of that, I thought I might as well make a little video where I talk about my history of Minecraft and how it not only shaped my childhood, but also how it brought me to where I am today. I'm not even going to tell you to like and subscribe, we're just going to jump right into my autobiography. The year is 2012. For everyone born in the late 90s and early 2000s, this was probably the most nostalgic year ever. Back at that time, the iPhone 4 was the newest smartphone. Silly bands were probably still relevant. People were freaking out because of the so-called end of the world. Movies like Here Comes the Boom, Hotel Transylvania, and Wreck-It Ralph first released in theaters. Shows like Lab Rats and Gravity Falls first began airing on Disney XD or Disney Channel or whatever else there is. And the song Gangnam Style was everywhere in pop culture. It was quite a time to be alive. On May 5th that year, it was my older brother's birthday, and he got quite a few things. I don't remember all of it, but among those things was an iPod Touch. I'll admit I was a little jealous because my parents promised both me and my brother one, but then my parents surprised me with my own iPod Touch, and I was a happy boy that day. Though I did feel a little bad for taking away some of my brother's thunder, but nonetheless I was happy. That day I got a bunch of games on my brand new iPod Touch, and I had a blue cover on it. Not that it matters, but hey, now you know. I didn't have any money on it yet, so I had to get free games. I got a lot of games that day, including the free versions of Angry Birds, Fruit Ninja, and Cut the Rope, along with Temple Run and Jetpack Joyride. At least those are the ones I remember. Among those games, I also got Minecraft Pocket Edition Lite. Up until this point, I've only ever seen Minecraft once, and that was when my brother's friend who lives right next door was playing it on his PC, but I didn't really get a good look at the game. But now I had the opportunity to see what it was like. Because this was the light version, you were very limited to what you could do in the game. You could only create one world, and if you exited the game you couldn't even save it. You had both creative and survival mode, but things were not the way you expect. In creative, you could do everything you always could, but no mobs would spawn and it was always day. And survival was basically creative mode, but without flying and you had actual health. And there were actual mobs that spawned. Also at that time, worlds were very limited, and there were no clouds nor sun in the sky. Heck, even the title screen was different, and damn, just thinking about it brings me back to those days. Like I said, this day was my older bro's B-day, and so my mom had his friends over for a sleepover, and I didn't really have many friends to hang out with at this time, so I usually hung out with my older brother's friends. It was a great time that night. We were all playing Minecraft together on our mobile devices. I still remember the first time I saw the Steve skin, was just surprised by how cool he looked. And I still remember the first time it became night and we had to build a house. And funny enough, at this point in time, there were only 3 mobs in this version, which are sheep, pigs, and zombies. I also still remember seeing zombies for the first time, and I was actually kind of freaked out. In the world we were playing in, we were on a small island, and there was a mini hill at the top of the island, where there was a cave full of zombies. For a little while I was stuck playing the light version of Minecraft. It was fun, don't get me wrong, but I had to try and cut corners sometimes. For example, whenever I made something in the world, I wouldn't fully exit the app. That way I wouldn't lose everything I made. But it didn't really matter that much, because eventually I would lose access to what I made. Eventually, after begging my parents for a while, they got me an iTunes card so I could actually get paid versions of some of the games I had. But even then, they didn't let me get them right away. The only paid game they actually got me was Angry Birds Space. Legendary game, by the way. However, one day, I tricked them into getting me something free because you only need to put in the Apple ID password once, and then you can get anything you want without typing in the password again. So I took advantage of this and got the full versions of the games I wanted, including Minecraft. I can still remember my dad was pretty pissed when he saw what I did, and he took away my iPod that day. But I didn't really care, I was just happy I got what I wanted. And even then, the next day I had it back and started playing around with the new apps I got. The full version of Minecraft Pocket Edition surprisingly wasn't that different. The biggest difference is you can make as many worlds as you wanted, and you could actually save them, which was good. There were 2 extra mobs, which are cows and chickens. There were a few more things in the creative inventory like crafting tables, and survival mode was more accurate. This actually disappointed me at first because when I first made a world in survival, I would try to place down as many torches as I could to light up everything, and I couldn't just do that here. In the full version, you had to actually collect blocks and craft stuff, and honestly, I was such a noob at this. It took me a while to know how to use the crafting table and make tools and weapons, and it took me even longer to find out how to actually get coal. Mind you, I was 9 years old at this point. I did lots of stuff during this time. I would build massive houses with tons of floors, sometimes alone, other times with my bro. Sometimes we would even stay up at night without our parents knowing and play in our beds. A few times I actually ran out of battery on my iPod. Other times I would either dig random tunnels underground or build statues of Steve, because why not? There was one point during a cookout of our neighbors where I was playing Minecraft on the grass, right next to the house driveway, but when I tried getting up, I tripped and fell onto the driveway face first with my iPod in my hand. My face and my arm were bleeding and my screen broke. I had to get stitches on my face and I also had to wear a cast-length thing on my arm. It wasn't very pleasant. I also got a new iPod, so that was great. As time went on, I began exploring YouTube and found lots of Minecraft stuff to watch, and when I saw people playing the Xbox and PC versions of the game, I didn't even realize how much I was missing out on. I found out that there were chests, weird explosive things called creepers, a literal sun and clouds in the sky, infinite worlds, the ability to switch between game modes, a literal hell-like dimension that you could access by making an obsidian frame, a stronghold at the bottom of the world that takes you to a place called the Ends where you could fight a literal dragon. I was in shock. I didn't realize that all these things existed, and it just made me want to get the full version of Minecraft on PC. Unfortunately, I didn't have a PC, but my dad did eventually buy a laptop at Best Buy, but even then, it would still be a while before I got my hands on the so-called Java edition of Minecraft. I was kind of annoyed that Pocket Edition only had about 10% of everything Java had, but I realize now that was because mobile devices weren't as powerful as they are now. But hey, at least today all the new updates release in the same time for all devices. Funny enough, there were a few times I tried replicating the portal room in Strongholds, but it was actually kinda hard to do because the Pocket Edition didn't even have stone bricks. I also eventually discovered what mods were, and one of the first ones I saw was from my brother's friend. The mod was basically a pink creeper called an electric creeper. Back on the YouTube side, I began watching a lot of stuff. I would search up random Minecraft Let's Plays. One of the ones I watched was from Topuzgus. Boy, those were great times. And eventually he started using mods in his worlds. One of the mods he used added werewolves, which are pretty freaky, and he also used the Aether mod. I still remember the first time he built that portal and entered into the heavenly world, and like most people, I thought this was legit, until I heard from my brother's friend that it was just a mod. But thankfully I didn't find out the hard way. I also watched a lot of Minecraft trolling videos, which were always entertaining, most of which came from Xbox Addictions. I also watched the videos from Sky Does Minecraft and a lot of his friends. There were also the music parodies, most of which came from the Chad Captain Sparkles, my favorites including TNT, Revenge, and Fallen Kingdom, which just recently turned 10. Some of you may have also heard of the Noob Adventures. This was something I binged when I first discovered it, and boy was it entertaining. It took a while for the series to fully finish, I had to come back to it a few times, but it was an absolute blast to watch Noobly, Farkenfunkel, and Snake aka Poopoozer exploring the world of Minecraft and facing off against the evil Gaylord Steambath, who was probably the best anime villain ever created. And of course, who could ever forget the man himself, Herobrine? It's honestly shocking how removing 2 pixels from Steve could turn him into a monster. And like most people, I was petrified of Herobrine, and I 100% believed he was real. And what made him look even more real was the fact that every update patch would always say removed Herobrine. There was actually one time where my older brother trolled me by pretending to be Herobrine. But looking back, I'm surprised I even fell for it since you couldn't change your skin in Pocket Edition. As time went on, I created a survival world on Pocket Edition that I kept for quite a while. In this world, I slowly figured out how to do things in Minecraft. I figured out how to properly use a furnace. I figured out how to make iron gear. I actually started building roofs on my houses. And I eventually got my hands on diamonds. Honestly, I took up millions of tunnels in this world, and it took me forever to find diamonds. I can still remember the first time I found those sweet blue rocks. I was excited and happy like most people. I can also still remember when finding diamonds was the most challenging thing to do, and since there was no nether or end, this was how you beat the game. There was one day when I was playing and I noticed something new. I was exploring my massive tunnels when I came across a skeleton. I was shocked because up until this point the only hostile mob in the game was a zombie. But later I realized that there was a new update that had skeletons and spiders, and because of that there was now bone meal, string, and bow and arrows. I eventually became aware of every next update that was being worked on. The next update was quite a big one which had chests, creepers, TNT, and beds. I no longer had to throw extra items on the ground, and I no longer had to create fake beds. It was awesome. I also finally got the chance to fight the infamous Creeper, and like most people, these bozos give me a lot of trouble. Sometimes my dad would also play Minecraft, and most of the time he would create a giant underground base with all these massive tunnels, and some of the rooms had a big glass ceiling, and he would take most of the spare cobblestone he had and use it to build a castle. I started doing similar things in another world I created because I was a big copycat, but I also thought it was cool to have a giant underground base with all these rooms to explore. Another update for Minecraft Pocket Edition came out eventually, which added armor, but also a very interesting block called the Nether Reactor. The point of this block was to give mobile players a little taste of the Nether. Basically, you had to build this weird thing using cobblestone, the Nether Reactor in the middle, and also 4 blocks of gold, which made this thing really hard to create because gold was really hard to find. My dad was the first one to make it, and what it does is that when you right click the block, it summons in a giant chunk of netherrack, and zombie pigmen start spawning, and random items will spawn in as well. It was quite interesting, it almost felt like a rave party. Once the event finishes, some of the netherrack blocks will vanish allowing you to safely exit, but most of the netherrack chunk remains so you can use them for building. Around this point, it was the end of 2012, and around that time was my birthday. For my birthday, I have zero memory of what I got, aside from a PC card which allowed me to get the Java version of Minecraft. I could finally play it after all this time and get a true taste of what Minecraft is really like. The newest version on Java Edition when I started playing was 1.4, the pretty scary update. This update added cauldrons, witches, the wither, and beacons. Throughout the first half of 2013, I took every opportunity to play Minecraft on my PC. Unfortunately, my mom had a strict rule that me and my brothers could not play video games Monday through Thursday, so I only had the weekends to actually play. Most of the time I just messed around in creative. I would find villages in Superfly and either help them by increasing the population by 1000%, or I would end the village with a zombie apocalypse. Other times, I would spawn in 100 zombie pigmen and hit one of them so they would all be pissed. I don't know why, but I just found this amusing. When I played on survival, I discovered 2 giant fears. One of them was caves, especially when my render distance was low. The other was endermen. The way they opened their mouths when they got hostile was unsettling, and there's also that weird sound that plays. Eventually, the 1.5 Redstone update would be released. I didn't really understand Redstone at this time, not surprising, but I played around with the block of Redstone because it looked cool. For some reason after 1.5, the Minecraft launcher would change, and this forced me to be stuck in 1.5. My parents at the time were super strict with my internet activity. They didn't want me to download anything on my own with the risk of downloading a virus, and one time I accidentally did. So yeah, I was afraid to get the new launcher because of this, but I got it anyway, and this allowed me to get a taste of 1.6, which added horses and the iconic villager sounds. Eventually as time went on, I took a little break from Minecraft, and instead I played Roblox, and boy was I toxic. So toxic my parents stopped letting me play. At one point, the screen on my laptop broke, so my dad had to go and get that fixed. My parents blamed me since I usually was the one to hit and bite whatever game I was angry at, but I swear I don't remember breaking that screen. Eventually it got fixed, and we could use it again. By the end of 2013, and by that I mean Christmas, I got the Xbox 360 edition of Minecraft. I didn't really play this very much at first, and funny enough, since I got it on an actual disc, I was stuck on version 1.0 because we didn't have Xbox Live yet. I don't know why, but Minecraft Xbox 360 captures the nostalgia of Minecraft perfectly. The graphics, the sound effects, the color scheme. When I think of nostalgia, this is exactly what I think of. The Xbox 360 version also was the only version at the time that had skin packs. And I can't forget about the tutorial world. It's actually crazy how cool this world is. Around 2014, I went back and saw where Minecraft was currently at. To my surprise, a lot had changed. The Pocket Edition now had infinite worlds and flat worlds. There were a lot more mobs and blocks, and I think there were even servers now. However, the Pocket Edition was still missing a lot of stuff like the Nether in the end, and even caves. But luckily there was an actual sun and clouds in the sky. Even though Pocket Edition was far behind, some features were added at the same time as Java, including quartz, the new 1.7 biomes, along with granite, diorite, and andesite, but it still wasn't enough. Around this time, the current update being worked on was 1.8's The Bountiful update, and when I saw what the update included, it just made me want to play it so badly. I remember seeing ocean monuments for the first time, and I was blown away. All I could think of doing is finding the Guardians and Elder Guardians. When I went back over to Java after my laptop was fixed, I tried loading up 1.8, but for some reason it wasn't working. I then discovered once again that I had to download yet another launcher, but from then on, I got to play around with all the cool new features. Not that long later, it was announced that Microsoft will be purchasing Minecraft for $2.5 billion. Funny since I only paid $7 for it on my phone. A lot of people viewed this as the beginning of the end, but I didn't really see any issue. Well, the biggest change that occurred was the introduction of the Bedrock Edition, which is full of microtransactions, but that doesn't happen until way later, and it doesn't really affect the vanilla game that much. At least not until chat reporting is added, and if you're wondering why the audio suddenly sounds different, I recorded everything in this video before chat reporting was added. This is being recorded while editing, and I want to make it clear that I'm aware of its existence and I've even made 2 videos on it, but I don't want to change too much of the original video, so if you don't hear anything else about chat reporting, this is why. Around 2015, I wasn't really paying attention to the main game very much, but one thing I started doing was collecting merchandise. I first collected all of the original Minecraft handbooks, which are the equivalent to the journals in Gravity Falls. Really awesome books. I read them any random night I went to sleep. I also collected the Minecraft action figures, which I played with a lot. Unfortunately, as of now, I don't have either because my mom sold them. Whenever I played Minecraft around 2015, it was only really on my iPod, and I wasn't even playing the main game. Instead, I discovered the Lifeboat server, which I played a lot on. If you don't know, Lifeboat was basically Minecraft Hunger Games, and I was really bad at it. Eventually, I only hung around the lobby, and found lots of suspicious activity. There was lots of roleplay, and I mean lots. There were boys and girls doing weird romantic shit. There were Five Nights at Freddy's stands roleplaying as anime characters. There were people roleplaying as Undertale characters, and I had zero knowledge about Undertale at this time. There were people who roleplayed as Aphemu and all her friends, and I also had no idea who she was until I saw all the stands roleplaying. These groups would also create their own characters like Aphemu's brother Alex, or Sans cousin Joe, or Bonnie's sister Bitch. It doesn't even stop there, because there were also people who roleplayed as babies. Yes, literal infants. And what's funny is that all you have to do to create a baby skin is add 4 pixels underneath and in between the eyes, and maybe slap on a diaper. I could go on all day explaining the whole lore behind the Lifeboat roleplay, but I don't want to stretch the video longer than it needs to be. Staying in 2015, I had 2 friends over a lot, and most of the time we played Minecraft on my Xbox. We started a creative world together where we built our own giant houses, and it was a great time, and while they were gone I added my own expansions to the world. Sometimes one of my friends would join me on Xbox Live, and we communicated through placing signs, and man, just thinking about it brings me back. Also in 2015, Minecraft Story Mode would release, and I was quite invested in it. I thought the story was really intriguing. I like how they gave you a lot of different options for where the story could go, and for your race. Unfortunately, the biggest downside was that you had to pay for each episode instead of having the whole package upon buying it, so I only really played like the first 3 episodes. The second season will get released later, and after that nothing. In 2016, I came back to Minecraft for a little bit after 1.9 and 1.10 released, and I was mainly playing on the Xbox version. I discovered that there were these mini-games you could play which included Hunger Games, Spleef, and an Elytra minigame which basically introduced me to the Elytra. I absolutely loved these mini-games and had a lot of fun playing them. Ironically though, I stopped not that long after. In 2017, I hardly did much of Minecraft. I played on my PC once or twice and got a decent look at some of the newest mobs, and that was about it. And in 2018, it was kind of the same thing, though at this point it made sense because 2016 through 2018 was sort of the dark ages of Minecraft. Nobody was really playing the game anymore. People were starting to argue it was dead. And this was also when Fortnite took over the world. However, as we all know, that didn't last very long. I should mention though, in 2018, a meme was born that was inspired from the movie called Avengers Infinity War, and this meme would later inspire the persona of a certain YouTuber. In early 2019, I was a sophomore in high school, and because of this I was studying for my permit test, which took me 5 attempts to pass. but that's not relevant right now. As early as January of that year, I decided to hop back on Minecraft and once again see what has changed. And for some reason, I was hit by a giant wave of nostalgia. It almost felt like 2012 again. Everything in the game felt exactly how it did when I first started playing, and it also felt fresh and new at the same time. I was messing around in creative mode like I always had, and I started a new survival world, which like before didn't last quite long. But I was back and playing Minecraft once again and it felt good. And what also made the experience fresh and exciting was the recent new updates. Around this time, 1.13 had recently come out. This was known as the Update Aquatic, and at this time was probably the biggest update to Minecraft ever. I spent lots of time exploring the new oceans, playing with the dolphins, messing with the new trident weapon. It was all really cool, and it didn't stop there, because during this time, another update was being worked on, which was 1.14 Village and Pillage update, and seeing the new features in that update like pillagers and raids and crossbows got me even more hyped and invested in Minecraft. It wasn't just me, however. I began to notice that Minecraft was starting to make a surprising comeback. Lots of people were starting to come back to the game, and new people were also joining in on the action as well. It was very beautiful to watch, and it made me feel very happy to see Minecraft make this kind of redemption. It didn't stop there, however. Later in the year, PewDiePie would begin a Minecraft series of his own, and this caused the game to rise up even further. Around this time, I lost a slight bit of interest in the game. I even started a new world when the latest update dropped, but after a little while I got bored. However, when I started watching PewDiePie's series, it brought my interest right back up to where it was, and seeing all the stuff PewDiePie did in his world really motivated me to continue my own world, which I did. And for the first time, I actually did everything you could do in survival Minecraft. I even beat the Ender Dragon, which was an incredible accomplishment for me. And I'll admit I did copy some of what PewDiePie did, but like I said, I'm a copycat. My brothers also started playing again too, and sometimes we would play together, and my dad also started playing again, though he wasn't the biggest fan of the newest features. I've always been interested and excited to see what was next for Minecraft, but now I was more excited than ever to see what Minecraft had in store for the future. I started watching snapshot videos from Zoomovoid, Waddles, Ibex Toycat whenever he made one, and Captain Sparkles, who apparently made those kind of videos too. And I also watched snapshot videos from Slicetime, who is one of the developers at Mojang. His videos are actually very well made, and I think they deserve a lot more attention, so I definitely recommend checking out his channel when you have the chance. On Minecraft's official 10th birthday, we were gifted with the date of Minecon, and the announcement of a Pokemon Go type game called Minecraft Earth, which wasn't a bad game. I played it a few times, but as of now they pulled the plug in the game so it no longer exists. Later in the year, specifically on September 28th, Minecon would happen, which is now one of my favorite events of the year because it's when they announced the next major update. I was in my family's car while watching because we were going to this fall festival thing, and it sucked. But I got to watch Minecon, so I made up for it. Like most people, I was expecting to see the announcement of the cave update, but instead we got another update that year, which was still awesome. Another thing that goes on is the evil, treacherous votes. This began in 2017 with the mob vote, and then again in 2018 with the biome vote. This year it was also a biome vote, and you could pick between the Badlands, Swamp, and Mountains to be updated. My vote went towards the Mountains because I felt they were very lackluster and needed some extra content to spice things up. And lucky for me, they won. Most of the time this year when I played Minecraft, I only played on my phone because at this point in time, every version had almost all the same features with a few exceptions, and the updates all released on the same day. I did try loading on Minecraft on my laptop, but once again they changed the launcher, and I think it had been long enough since I last played on my laptop, so my account was basically outdated and useless. On my birthday, however, I got a new Minecraft card so I could repurchase the game again, and this was around the time when I adapted the whole Thanos Creeper persona. But when I went to load up Minecraft, I found the game was incredibly laggy on my laptop, so it was basically unplayable. In 2020, I kept on paying attention to Minecraft's current state, and I decided that I wasn't going to play the game again until at least the next two updates. In early February, the Nether update snapshots began, and man, it was really cool seeing everything that the update added. From the new biomes, to the new mobs, to the new structures, and we can't forget about Netherites. At first it was kind of challenging to pay attention to everything because I was still in school, but then around March, my town went on lockdown because of the pandemic, and I got to miss school for the rest of the year, which gave me all the time I needed to witness all the new content, and it was a great experience. This year was also when Minecraft Dungeons released, and as I'm making this video, I still haven't played it for the same reason I didn't finish Minecraft Story Mode, and that reason is microtransactions. Around the middle of the year, I slowly stopped paying attention to Minecraft because Terraria got a new update after like 5 years, so I was more focused on that throughout the summer. Around late August, I started seeing a YouTuber named Dream pop up everywhere on social media, so I decided to give his channel a look. As we all know now, Dream has kind of become notorious for all the drama that went on with him, and because of his very passionate fanbase. But in 2020, he was basically on top of the world, and it seemed nobody had any real problems with him. Later on in the year, Minecon would happen once again, and once again I was in hopes for that sweet cave update. And well, we actually got it. The Caves and Cliffs update was announced, which involved updating the caves and adding the mountain features from the 2019 mob vote, and it looked very exciting. I was most excited for the Deep Dark and the Warden, and Archaeology looked like it had potential. That year we also got a mob vote for the first time since 2017, and I was hoping for the Chad Isolager, but instead we got the Virgin Glow Squid. Once again my birthday rolled around, and by this point I was now a legal adult. Because I couldn't play Minecraft on the laptop I had, and because the laptop itself was a pile of crap, I wanted to get an actual PC, which I did, and I was a happy boy that day. The PC I got is actually the PC I'm using now to record this video. In 2021, I was in a weird position in my life. I was now a senior in high school and getting close to graduating, but I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with my life. I had a few ideas of what I wanted, but the idea that rose up on top was becoming a content creator on YouTube. So early that year I began working on videos on an alternative channel from this, and among those videos was my 1.8 versus 1.9 video. I spent lots of time working on it, but then the recordings I was using got corrupted, so I had to start from scratch. But I didn't really feel motivated to keep going, so I just scrapped the video. Eventually I started working on it again later in the year, and it became the first video I uploaded on this channel. Back to the start of the year, however, one thing that became trending in the Minecraft fandom was 100 Days videos. I started watching tons of these from many different people like Skies, Zelk, Faru, and of course the man who started it all, Luke the Notable. Most of these were pretty much the same thing and didn't have much difference, but I still enjoyed watching them regardless. Later in the year they evolved into basic hardcore let's plays, but aside from that, nothing else changed. Along with this, I continued staying up to date with the Caves and Cliffs snapshots, and honestly, it was a pretty tedious time. The snapshots were a lot slower compared to the Nether updates. Eventually, it was announced that the update would get split into 2 parts, and that made the wait feel even longer, especially considering that the only features I really cared about were getting postponed beyond the update. I was definitely disappointed, but I understood the devs just wanted to take as much time as they needed to make the update as best as it could be. Even though I said I wouldn't start playing Minecraft again until the next few updates, I went back to my world I created in 2019 and explored new chunks so I could get a taste of some of the newest features. And while doing this, I also improved my base. I did this for both parts 1 and 2 of Caves and Cliffs, but eventually I stopped once I felt satisfied. We've now reached the present time, 2022. Currently while making this, the 1.19 Wild update has recently come out, which includes the swamp features from the 2019 biome votes, the Deep Dark and the Warden, happy to see they're in the game, and the winning mob with the 2021 mob vote, the LA, unfortunately not the Copper Golem. And for me, well, I've just been trying to grow my channel. I've now officially decided that I want to be a content creator on YouTube, and this will probably sound like a silly fever dream, but my biggest hope is to one day become the king of YouTube. I guess calling that fever dream is an understatement, but at the very least, I want to grow big enough where I can start calling this my job and make good money from YouTube. I also plan at some point to begin a Minecraft Let's Play series of my own, and I have big plans for that series, so stay tuned. 10 years ago, I was a little kid who had lots of issues and not many friends, and today, I'm an adult but still a teenager, but I currently have big dreams. Regardless of where my life goes, however, I'm grateful that I had Minecraft alongside me throughout these last 10 years. And yeah, that's my 10-year story of playing Minecraft. Maybe I'll do this again if I want to spend 20 years, and 30 years too, who knows. But that's about it for this video. If you made it this far and you want to follow me on my journey to become the king of YouTube, I would please ask if you hit that like button and subscribe. These videos take a lot of time to make and I would really appreciate it. Did you do it? Okay, now piss off.